Something huge is happening right now, and most people don't even realize it yet. The world's two biggest powers, the United States and China, are quietly tearing apart the very system that connected them for decades. What began as a trade dispute has morphed into something far bigger, a global technological and economic divorce. And at the center of it all, chips. Not the kind you eat, but the kind that decide who leads the world in artificial intelligence. This is more than just a rivalry. It's the making of a new world order. And what's unfolding today will shape the next 50 years of power, innovation, and money. If you find this topic as fascinating as I do, take a quick moment to like this video and share it. It really helps more people understand what's going on beneath the headlines. Let's dive in. The semiconductor, that tiny slice of silicon, has become the most valuable piece of real estate on Earth. Whoever controls it controls the future of artificial intelligence. The US is throwing everything it has into staying ahead. Washington is pouring billions into chip manufacturing and AI infrastructure, with Wall Street jumping in too. We're seeing the rise of something totally new: data center-backed securities. In simple terms, entire financial products are now being built on buildings full of servers and chips. But here's the catch. It's all debt-fueled. And if this AI investment bubble bursts, it won't just hit companies like Nvidia. It could shake the financial system itself. Tens of billions tied up in data center bonds could vanish overnight, freezing money markets the way subprime mortgages did back in 2008. So while the US bets big, China is playing a very different game. Beijing knows exactly where the weak spots are, and it's moving fast to cut off America's cash flow from its own backyard. The Chinese government recently told all state-funded data centers to phase out foreign chips, meaning no more Nvidia, no more AMD, and replace them with Chinese alternatives like Huawei's Ascend processors. And because so many of China's data centers are backed by the state, this isn't a suggestion, it's an order. That's tens of billions of dollars in lost revenue for US chip makers, just gone. But what's even more interesting is how China is doing it. Instead of chasing the latest, most advanced chips, Chinese engineers are clustering thousands of slightly older, cheaper ones together, achieving similar computing power at a fraction of the cost. It's a clever workaround that shows China doesn't need to win the chip race outright. It just needs to keep up. And it's working. Despite all the export bans and chip restrictions, Chinese AI developers are thriving. In fact, the top 3 AI models in the world this October were all Chinese, surpassing Google and Meta. They've turned open source AI into a powerful tool, spreading their models globally and building loyalty in emerging markets. Developers everywhere are paying for access to Chinese models. And that means more money flowing back into China's tech ecosystem. Every few months, China seems to have another DeepSeek moment, a new AI model or breakthrough that forces the world to pay attention. Now, before we move on, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think China can truly catch up to US AI power despite the sanctions? Or will America's innovation edge still hold the line? I'll be reading through your takes. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. The chip war is slowly transforming into something much bigger: an energy war. AI demands massive amounts of electricity, and this is where China quietly holds a decisive advantage. Energy costs in the US are 30 to 40% higher than in China, and China's grid, it's not just bigger, and it's greener and growing faster. Beijing is subsidizing tech firms' electricity use, pouring billions into renewables. China now accounts for 2/3 of the world's total wind and solar build-out, around 340 gigawatts of clean capacity. By the 2030s, China's solar output alone could surpass the entire electricity consumption of the US economy. That's staggering. In just 2 decades, China's reliance on fossil fuels for electricity dropped from 80% to 65%. Within a few more years, renewables could provide half the nation's power. That's not just environmental policy, that's a long-term strategic play. Because in the race for AI dominance, whoever can power the machines wins. But the US-China split isn't just about technology or energy anymore. It's rewriting the global financial map. As Washington weaponizes the dollar through sanctions, more countries are quietly walking away from it. Russia and China now conduct almost all their trade in local currencies. Over 99% of transactions no longer touch the dollar or euro. And that's spreading. More nations in Asia, the Middle East, and even parts of Europe are experimenting with bilateral trade outside the Western system. Every deal done in yuan or rubles means less demand for dollars of Lessrak and less leverage for the US. China's economy is still expected to grow over 4% in 2026. Russia, despite sanctions, keeps expanding too. And together their trade is booming, worth nearly $500 billion a year, mostly settled without touching the dollar. The result? A slow but steady erosion of America's financial dominance. You can see it clearly in central bank behavior. For decades, US Treasuries were the world's favorite safe asset. But now, gold has overtaken them. Global gold reserves have hit $4.7 trillion, surpassing US Treasuries at $3.9 trillion. Countries from China to India are stockpiling gold as insurance against a dollar crisis. And inside China, investors are following suit. With property markets shaky and domestic bond yields unattractive, they're piling into gold ETFs and mining stocks. It's a quiet but powerful shift, a signal that the world no longer sees the dollar as untouchable. Then there's trade. The Trump administration's renewed tariffs have only poured gasoline on the fire. Chinese exports to the US dropped 25% in October, and Beijing is redirecting its trade networks toward Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, regions far less dollar-dependent. What we're witnessing isn't a small rift. It's the dismantling of a global economic system that defined the last 40 years. The US and China are no longer partners in growth. They're competitors in survival. And when two giants decouple, the whole world feels the tremor. So where does this all lead? Can America turn the tide? That depends on one thing: strategic adaptation. The US needs to go beyond sanctions and tariffs. It has to reinvent its manufacturing base, invest in domestic energy, and build new alliances that aren't purely transactional. It also needs to rethink how it uses the dollar, because every time it's used as a weapon, more countries look for an exit. America still leads in innovation, especially in frontier AI research. But China's resilience, scale, and state coordination make it a formidable challenger. If the US can achieve a true breakthrough in artificial general intelligence, AGI, it might just reset the balance. But if not, China's slower, steadier approach may eventually outlast America's high-stakes gamble. So here we are, two superpowers on diverging paths, reshaping the global order as they go. The AI war, the energy war, the financial war. It's all part of one larger struggle for the future. We're witnessing history in real time, the end of one era and the uneasy birth of another. The question isn't who wins next quarter or even next year, it's who builds the foundation that will last the next 50 years. Thanks for staying till the end. If you found this breakdown valuable, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. Your support helps this channel keep exploring how geopolitics and economics shape our world. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.